and welcome to my home. Today is going to be about gardening, and yes, I'm going to talk about getting ready for your spring garden. It's not too early. There's been increased interest in gardening, so you want to think about what do you like to eat and what do you want to do about that. Do you want to plant seeds that resemble what you eat, or maybe you might want to even experiment with a seed of a plant that you don't normally eat. But my suggestion is for a first-time gardener, if that's you, pick things that you like to eat. Do you love lettuce and cucumber? Pick lettuce and cucumbers. Do you like tomatoes? Pick tomatoes. So I am going to be focused on container gardening, and all of these vegetables can be grown in containers. Now right now, the catalogs have gone out. I've gotten many catalogs from nurseries and seed companies. They also have updated their websites to reflect the fact that they're ready for you. They're ready for you to come get your seeds for 2021. So I want to encourage you to start thinking about that. You also need to think about where are you going to put your containers. Now I put my containers on my deck, but my deck is quite sturdy. I also have containers on my patio back during the spring and summer. I had a bigger spring summer container garden than the fall winter one that I have right now. So with that in mind, you can also, if you don't have a deck that's sturdy enough, you don't have a patio, that's okay. You can put your containers right on the ground as long as there's enough sun in the area for you to plant. Planting is not complicated. I think a lot of people don't want to garden because they think, oh, I'm going to mess it up. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to try to help you get there. But you got to have a little faith in yourself, but mostly have faith in Mother Nature. Mother Nature does all the... Come on, I work so hard for you. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I love you. Do is provide good soil condition, proper watering, and the proper amount of sun for the plant, and you're going to get some yields. Oh yes, you do have to be on the lookout for pests that are in the yard, and we'll talk about that in a later video and how you take care of that without using pesticides if you want to be free of pesticides in your garden. So with that said, I'm going to start talking about the seed companies and the nurseries that are currently online, and I'm going to show you a few of them. You'll find that these websites not only sell, but they also provide helpful hints and tips as well. Now here is the Park Seed Company website. Now they're already saying, yes, we got plants for spring 2021. And I also checked, and they have seeds as well. So you need to go ahead and start thinking about it, as I said before, because it is going to be more competitive, I think, this spring and summer. As everyone goes through a very harsh winter, more people are going to want to garden at home. And you want to make sure that if you have your heart set on a particular type of vegetable, that you want to get it now. So the seeds are in stock. Now if you're looking for plants, nurseries like Park Seed, and also another one is Burpee, B-U-R-P-E-E, they will also provide plants for some of the vegetables. For example, tomato plants. Those won't ship out now because you can't plant them now. So basically when you're going for something like a plant, you're reserving it if they have them in stock. I did go on Park Seed. They don't have the plants like tomato plants yet, but it's too early. So you would check back later, beginning part of 2021, to see when they're going to have the actual plant. But I'm pushing for you to use seeds. Seeds are easier to grow than you think, and it's very rewarding to see that seed come up through the ground and grow into a plant. So try the seeds, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Now, one thing about the online nurseries is that they also allow you to see additional information about a particular seed, as well as reviews by various gardeners who've used those seeds and their success rate. So let's take a look at some of that. Now, I did a search for Better Boy and I got the Better Boy hybrid tomato seeds. On this page, it tells you the proper name for the tomato plant, days to maturity, which is 70, the color, and the habitat, which is vining. Now, this tomato plant has 6 reviews. They look like they're fairly good reviews. You can click on the review to see what they're talking about. So to see if there's some additional information you want to see. So let's click on that review and see what it says. So here's a couple of the reviews. These are older ones that seem to stand out the most to me. This person wrote in the first one that was absolutely our best hybrid ever. The one down below only gave it 4 stars and said year 2012 okay, but year 2013 is better. So you can read those reviews and it'll help guide you on your decision making no matter what seed you decide to plant. I like this type of information. I find it very informative. Here's Burpee's website. It's talking about its 2021 catalog is here, so they're ready for you guys as well to come and get your seeds. And they have ideas on planting your garden as well. I do find, again, these sites where these growers have a lot of good information on there, and they will also tell you about the seeds, how to plant the seeds, and give you some reviews on the seeds as well. So that's another reason why I like visiting a variety of these sites as I get started to plant every season. So as you can see, it's not too early to get started. You need to think about what do you want to plant, talk it over. You have family members you're growing for, ask them what type of foods do they like. You may already know that they like kale, or that they like spinach, or that they love tomatoes, or that they really want an herb garden. So all these things you should start thinking about now. Now, one thing you may be asking, well, what's the advantages and disadvantages of container garden versus gardening in your yard? I used to garden in the yard, and that for me was very hard physical work for me and the family. We have clay soil. There's a lot of clay, hard clay soil that you really have to dig through and you really have to work with, and that could be backbreaking at times. And I just got tired of doing it, didn't have enough time to do it, didn't have the inclination to do it, so I stopped gardening for a few years. Then the pandemic hit and I was at home more, so I said, well, let's try container gardening. And that's when my love for container gardening took off. What are the pros and cons of container gardening? Well, I'm going to give you the cons first. You're going to have to water more depending on the plant. You have a smaller surface for the plant, and a smaller surface for the soil, and a smaller surface for the roots. So you will have to water more, and you need to stay on top of that. The last thing you want is for your container garden to dry out, because now you've damaged the roots and that plant may not come back, or if it does, it's not going to be as robust, as healthy as it would have been. So you do have to stay on top of watering. The other thing is you may get tempted to want to move your pots around. Don't do it. Once you put the soil in the pot and the plant starts to grow, that pot and that plant is going to be heavier than you think. So you don't want to risk injury. So try to have your pots set in a nice sunny place where you want them to stay for the growing season. And if you do have to move a pot, try to have someone help you, because you don't want to injure yourself, and that would be a turn off to you for continuing your garden. And you may you could seriously injure yourself moving around 30 and 40, 50-pound pots. So don't do that part. So that is a downside. You might get tempted to want to move around. Don't do it. What's the upside? Well, the upside is you can plant them closer to your house, which makes it more convenient to get to your garden. You also will have less weeds, especially if you use a potting mix. When you're doing gardening in the ground, I remember those long, hot July, August months, weeding the garden in the hot sun, and even trying to wait till later in the evening or early in the morning to weed, and I still be sweating bullets. So that is a downside. You will have to maintain the eliminate those weeds, because the weeds are competing for the water and the fertilizer that you're giving your plants. That is an upside to container gardening. You won't have any weeds. If you do, it's an occasional weed they stay pretty weed free. Now the pests, you're going to have pests whether you plant in the ground or in the pots. Only difference is if your pots are closer to your house, like if it's on your patio, you just walk out your door, check the plants, pull off the bugs, and go about your business. Or like I do, I actually have a seating area. Since I plant my containers on the deck, and my deck is very sturdy, I can have a table, chairs, and my containers, and I sit amongst the plants, and it's so relaxing when I do that. But again, make sure your deck is sturdy enough. You may have to have someone inspect it, and if you suspect that your deck is not sturdy enough, plant on the ground. Don't plant on the deck. You can do the same container gardening that I'm going to be showing you over the next several videos. It's not any difference between placing your containers on the deck, patio, or placing your containers on the ground. Sometimes upside to putting containers on the ground to use instead of digging is maybe you don't have the mobility that you used to have or the strength that you used to have. Container gardening can be an outlet for you to get some fresh fruits and I'm not growing fruits, fresh vegetables to you and your family. So that's another plus side of container gardening. So let's go ahead and talk about the seeds that I'm going to plant for 2021. Now I had some seeds left over from my fall, actually from my summer 2020 and my fall 2020 that I'm going to use in 2021. And yes, you can't carry your seeds from season to season. You just have to store them in a cool place. I keep my seeds in the basement where it's cool. I put them in a container that I'm going to show you and rest them on the cement floor, and they stay nice and comfortable down there. You don't want them to think that it's summertime already. You want them to be dormant like they were meant to be and keep it in a cool storage. If you have a garage, a shed, now you do need to make sure they're in a very tight, airtight container to keep anything from getting into the seeds. So let's look at some of the seeds that I plan on planting. And plus, I have a seed opening from a company that I've never bought seeds from, and I saw them and they look interesting online, so I wanted to try their seeds. So let's get to opening what I'm going to plant for 2021. What I have ordered already, and some of these seeds I had left over that I plan on using for my 2021 gardening season. So let's look at I am going to try something different. Now I know I said if you're a first-time gardener, stick with planting things that you really like and enjoy, but I wanted to try something different since I had good success my last 2 seasons. So I'm going to do some Chinese eggplant. Yeah, I'm going to do Chinese eggplant. Wish me well on that one. Now this is from the Marde Ross company, mardeross.com. I have not used this seed company before, so I can't attest to it, and I haven't grown eggplant or Chinese eggplant. So we'll see how this goes. This is kind of my fun project, so we'll see. Then as far as tomatoes, which is my first love, as I love a good tomato, especially the flavor from like back in the day, back when my mom used to grow them, back when my grandmother used to grow them. So I have one I'm trying different this year, the Cherokee Purple. That's the Cherokee Purple. This is from the Park Seed Company. You know I got my Better Boy. You're going to hear me talk about Better Boy. That's the old-fashioned flavor that I'm used to when I think about a tomato plant. I decided to do, since I started loving those little red cherry tomato types. I never used to like them before, but something changed during the pandemic, and I like the little cherry red to put in my salads. So I'm going to try one that's a little cherry type tomato and see how that goes. And then last year I had something called a money maker. Now the money makers, they produced and they were huge, but the flavor just wasn't there for me. I think the money maker is probably for commercial growers or people who like to sell at the farmers market. I think there's a story behind the name called Moneymaker that has to do more with people who like to sell tomatoes. So I'm not going to grow this year, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. You may like the flavor of it. Next is I had good success with my kale, so I have some leftover kale that I'm going to use. And yeah, I'm going to use this because there's enough in here for me to grow a season coming up. And I thought I'd try some spinach this year. We love spinach, so I'm going to do spinach. We're going to do collards. Next, I'm going to do something that we like too. I'm going to do some, can you see that? Let's see. Yeah, this is a summer crookneck squash, so I'm going to grow that. Going to do some cucumbers. I did cucumbers last year, they were good. I used all those seeds, so I'm going to try these seeds this time. And then I took a trip down memory lane, and I was talking to my mom about those type of southern peas they used to grow back then. I used to love a pot of southern peas with some fried okra, and I could never figure out what the name of them were. And I think these are it. This is called the pink eye purple hull BVR peas. So I think this is the ones that my grandparents used to grow. And this is from the Bradley Seed Company. I've not purchased seeds from them before, so we'll see how this goes. I'm hoping to get a nice mess of peas. But wait, there's more. I'm going to do parsley again. And I'm going to do basil. My basil was so-so this year. So I'm going to try a different type of basil. I'm going to do this basil this year and see how that goes. I decided to grow some peppers. So this is sweet peppers. This is not hot peppers. I can't do hot, so this is bell peppers. And then from a company called Rebel Gardens, I decided to check them out. I've never used their seeds before, and they sent me this package that I ordered. So let me open it up. Ooh, it's tightly sealed. Oh. Let's see what we got here. It's a variety pack that I ordered. Okay. Some lettuce, some more spinach, romaine lettuce. Who doesn't like a good romaine? Swiss chard. I'm debating on whether I'm going to plant that or not. We'll see. Some more kale, some arugula, and some more lettuce. So I got a pretty ambitious fall. Why I keep saying fall? I guess because it is fall. I have a very ambitious 2021 garden set up. So I have a lot of pots, but I had to order some more. And I decided to go in a different route. I decided to order some of those larger, I want to call them grow bags, but I think that's a trademark name. But they're the kind of pots that are made out of that woven cotton material. So I'll show you those in the next video. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the soil that you use, types of fertilizer, again the pots, and measuring off your space so that you know what you can use as far as material to grow your vegetables in. You don't want to have too few pots. You don't want to have so many pots that you have nowhere to put them. So you need to think about it. So until then, oh yeah, before I forget, I wanted to show you the container that I'm using. This is a regular Tupperware type container. It was supposed to be used for carrying your salad to work, but I thought this is a perfect size, and I wrote seeds on there so it does not get accidentally thrown out, and it has a nice tight lid to it. Yeah, very tight. And I just put my seeds in there and put the lid back on, and we're good to go. So get you a nice tight container to put your seeds in and put them in a cool place. Thank you for stopping by.